Very good.
Give me just a second. You are live and can proceed when ready.
Thank you. We do have a quorum for the Forestation Board. I see Connie Kuhn and Linda Knox, Herb and myself. Maybe Sylvia will show up, but we can proceed. The first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from February 15, but maybe Linda hasn't had a chance to send those out yet. I haven't seen them.
Yeah, I got them.
Did you get them? Okay.
They were sent out last night.
Okay. Somehow I missed them. But it did, Herb, do you have any comments on them?
I think I'd make a motion to approve them as written.
I second.
Okay. How about Connie also? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
All in favor? Aye. Right.
Aye.
Okay. They are approved. The next item is the mayor's update. Now, the mayor is tied up in giving dispositions all day. But I saw John Carter was on here. Maybe John has something to report.
Nothing really to report. I will tell you, the mayor's deposition got pushed to a different date, but he's not feeling well today, so
Okay.
that's why he's not attending.
Okay. So we'll skip that. The next item is consultants report. And Andrea's out of town. However, she did send recommendations for spring planting, which is basically 10 trees along Sutherland Farm Road. And I've been looking at the budget and costs and what we have left. We have, after deducting the cost for planting the canopy tree, 6 trees, and taking credit for the $900 that the residents who ordered the canopy trees have actually paid to the city, would have about $23.90 left for spending on tree planting between now and June 30th, when the current budget a year runs out. And Andrea did also send, even today, updated costs on the purchased trees based on 10 of them. And that came to $14.92 for 10 trees, plus, so that's obviously $149 a tree, plus the planting cost, $115 a tree. That doesn't quite allow us to put in 10 trees. Be more likely to put in 8, to have a little bit of money left over rather than overrun the budget. Another consideration, which is not in this budget year, that she's working on, is the care for these trees if we plant them. The maintenance department is a little bit strained with watering, or can be strained, and Ron, comment on that. So Andrea is looking at how we can hire Perez or some other firm to do watering in case maintenance can't take them. And there's no watering available on Sutherland Farm Road. And also Andrea feels would need to water the trees we planted just a couple months ago, should we run into a dry period. Now, some of those trees are on land which is already set up for automatic watering, and we need to sort that out. But just for guidance purposes, she was getting a cost of something like $25 a tree for watering. That's, that, and if we had 17 trees to water, you're talking about $425 a shot. If we had to water them 5 times, we're talking $2,000 or so. And that would have to be a budget item for next year, but the council would also have to approve it. Well, so we do have somewhat of a quandary in that we don't have any actually budgeted money available for taking care of those trees. Any comments?
Uh, You know, the thing that it's just a small matter, but why are we planting a cypress tree? You can't mow around those. You know, she's got a cypress tree on the list. They have those knees that stick up.
Well, I'm looking at the list.
She's got a bald cypress.
There's no
2-inch bald cypress. Now, we don't have enough money to buy 10 trees anyhow, but so that tree could be eliminated.
Let's eliminate that.
I have a ball cypress. It doesn't have knees.
Oh, really?
I know what you're talking about. Other cypress trees that I've seen, like on the east coast of Carolinas, definitely do. But
Well, they do in our neighborhood too.
Yeah, some of the trees in the Sutherland subdivision do have knees, but it seems like they develop knees when they're in a lot of water. And I'm not sure that ones that aren't planted right in or near a marshy area actually develop knees. I don't know anything about it really, but that's just been my observation because I've seen lots of yards with bald cypress that don't have knees.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you, Linda.
Now, where she had planned, where Andrew had recommended the bald cypress was on the entrance side of Sutherland Farm Road. And some of that area definitely tends to be kind of marshy at a minimum. There's even a little stream that flows along there. But the main point would be, given the amount of money that's budgeted, we can eliminate that tree and that question if we wanted to go ahead and authorize her to plan place an order for 8 trees.
But can we back up 1 second? I think what you
Sure.
said, Lee, after the tree canopy, we have the money. So you've taken into account the planning and everything for the tree canopy?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
We could go over that. There's 6 trees. She got a bid.
Well, I'm reading 5 trees, Lee.
No, there's 6. There's 6. One customer ordered 2 trees.
Well, I'm looking at her order and I'm seeing, even with the 2, I'm seeing 5.
Well, let's go over those. I have the order forms in front of me. We have 2 for a customer on Westerly. They ordered 2 oaks. We have 1 swamp oak for Fox Valley Court. That's now 3. We have a Chinese elm for Smithfield Green. That's 4. We have another Chinese elm for Timber Ridge Court. That's 5. And we have a ginkgo for gunpowder, 681 gunpowder. That's 6.
Okay. What I'm looking at her order.
Yes.
And so apparently the one at Smithfield Green's not on that order, I don't think.
Well, maybe you're right. I don't have her order printed out here in front of me. We definitely have orders for 6 trees.
Okay, well, okay, that's just what threw me. I was not, okay.
But if you, are you saying she only ordered 5 trees, or she hasn't ordered any trees yet, I don't think, but, we would, maybe deduct, $150 from available funds if in fact she only ordered 5 instead of 6. That would
Counting
still leave
7 with the orders in front of me.
how many? 7?
I showed 2 on Westover.
Yep.
Oh, okay, this is a duplicate. So 1, 2, 3. 5 is accurate.
Think 5?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that would add another, to buy the 6 trees, which we're obligated to do, that would add maybe $150 or $160, depending on the tree. That would still leave us monies to plant 8 trees if we wanted to go ahead with a separate spring planting program.
Okay.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
Johnny?
Um,
Sure.
What was the reasoning behind the 20 feet back from the road rule? Why did we say that?
Well, you want me to talk about
Comment?
that? Yeah,
Yes, go
I
ahead.
can. It was more thinking in terms of the some shading on the asphalt, the roads and things. But
That's what I thought. But the person that ordered the tree for Smithfield Green, she said they'd get another one at least if it didn't have to be 20 feet, you know.
well, this is something I think we should really reconsider that restriction.
I do too.
Actually, it doesn't say that.
So,
The
Oh, it
form
doesn't?
says the trees need to be planted within 20 feet. Within
Oh.
20 feet,
Oh, that's
not
good.
at 20 feet. That's what the form says.
well,
They
I'm
need to
gonna,
be planted within 20 feet of the roadway. If your neighborhood has sidewalks, the distance is measured from the sidewalk. In no case may a tree be planted within 10 feet of overhead utility lines.
I think Connie
That's
and
actually that flexibility.
okay, well, I actually have had somebody bring that up to me saying, tree canopy is tree canopy. And so, and this person happens to be a resident on Gunpowder who happened to have take out 9 trees. But their situation, the trees they had to take out were not their front trees. These were trees in the back and the side, and they would participate in the program. So of course, this is already over with the deadline and everything. But
Yes.
I think for the future, I think we need to reconsider that. And but so how about that? We reconsider it.
Yeah, I
Sure, for
agree.
the fall program, yes, absolutely. But you're absolutely right that the orders needed to be in, but the resident who ordered the trees has flexibility within the existing program to plant within 20 feet. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so you're wanting that. Well, let me ask you something about the watering.
Yes, the question is we get trees and then they have to be watered or taken care of. And the maintenance department may not be able to do it depending on their workload.
Well, I understand that, but do we want maybe to not spend all the money, for actual tree planting, but have money for
Watering.
watering?
Well, Herb, it's complicated because that money and budget runs out on June 30th. We won't probably need to do any watering in June or May. Usually there's a pretty wet month. What we have
Yeah,
to
you're
worry
right.
about is maybe late July, August, September, when it tends to get dry.
Yeah, the drought. Yeah, okay.
So that
But
money, go ahead,
going forward, sorry,
go ahead, Linda.
going forward, can we submit a request in the new budget that's being developed for monies to support that? And I know, can that be part of the American Rescue funding monies that are available?
I think probably yes, and we should.
Okay,
But we have no guarantee that it would be approved, but let's say it's likely.
we don't know if we don't ask.
That's right. No,
If
I
you're
think
not
what you're-
aware, there's a special council meeting set for the 14th, I believe. Let me double check at 2 o'clock.
I
And
got down
it's,
11 o'clock.
I'm sorry, 11 o'clock. You're right. And that's the topic of discussion
The budget,
is ARPA funding.
Say that again, John?
At 11 a.m. this on March 14th, the council is meeting in a special meeting to discuss projects and just try to decide at least on some initial projects to be funded with the ARPA money.
so would you recommend we at least get in something in writing that this is a project that we're developing that we'd like them to consider, even though we don't have hard numbers at this time?
Yes, but it would very much help if you had at least some estimates of the numbers.
Well, Lee just threw out $2,000 based on 4 times at, 25 per tree. So we
Right.
could, with something like that.
Yeah, that we actually have a bid for that amount.
Okay,
Andrew's looking for another vendor that might bid lower, but then we do actually have a written bid for that amount.
Well, that same company last year, or either last year or year before, was basically $17 a tree. But might want to talk to them about those trees all being, right in the same area. Might have a factor. So yeah. I think it's I think it'd be a good idea to send that letter to the city about
I can prepare such a letter if the board thinks it's a good idea.
might not be a bad idea. Representative actually go to that meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That raises another question. John could probably answer, are the meetings now open to the public other than via WebEx?
It's a good question. I think this one is a hybrid. They're all hybrids at the very least. I know, as you've probably seen in the council meetings, there's usually some people here, but most people have been attending remotely. So this one will no doubt be a hybrid as well. I think if you let Ron know that you want to be part of the WebEx session, he'll send you an invitation. We're just so you know, City Hall is sort of on a path to eliminate masking and a testing requirement once the state as a whole gets down to a 5% COVID positivity rate, which it's pretty close now. We're like at 6.
Okay, that's
Hopefully
good.
people will be back in City Hall here soon.
All right. Well, with the approval of the Forestation Board, I'll draft a request for the consideration of watering money for trees for the next budget year coming out of American Rescue Plan funding. Can we have a vote on that?
Okay, you made the motion. I'll second it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we got Sylvia in there now too, hey Sylvia?
Great.
Right. Okay. So
You
I'll
call
do
for a
that.
vote?
And I've got to check my schedule, but if If there's a conflict, I'll ask someone else on the board to be there, Herb or Linda or somebody.
Actually, I will be there sort of about the little Honey Creek Park. So
Okay.
I had three, maybe.
You want to represent the board for the whole thing? That's fine. Okay.
I don't think he heard you.
Or did you say Herb?
Herb, yes, I was asking
No,
Herb.
no, let's don't have different hats on the same person.
Okay, I'll be a hat then. Okay. If
Thank
not,
you.
I'll get somebody else. I've got to check my schedule for 14.
Thank you.
Now, we're still on the issue of the spring planting. But do we want to make a tentative approval of putting in 8 trees on Sutherland Farm Road?
Well, after I turn 80, Lee, I don't do anything tentative. I say I make a motion, we plant 8 trees.
Oh, I second it. That's great.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Linda, Sylvia, and Lee. Yes, okay. Let's plan on that, and I'll communicate to Andrea that we're only budgeted for 8 trees. I actually sent her a note already today that we couldn't support 10 trees, but we can do 8. Okay. The next item is the whole list of remediation letters and actions that have taken place. And I'll go through these with the knowledge that I have. And they're all on the agenda, okay, that everybody has a copy of that agenda. The first one is the Sutherland Farm Road. And I talked with Mary Lowry late last week, and she said they were going to have the oak that we considered hazardous trim way back this past Saturday. So
I can add to that. Today, she was here and they pulled an arbor permit. So I presume that means they're proceeding.
okay, that's very good. So we don't need to do anything more about that, okay?
Yes.
There's some other updates that Rick Wilson has actually been sending out remediation letters to people as we requested, okay?
Great.
And he sent me, and maybe all of you, copies of ones he had sent out recently. He took care of 7204 Fox Harbor Road on the 1st of March. And he took care of that property 30 at the Breakers on the 16th of February. Okay. Another one we have outstanding, and there's obviously some confusion on part of the property owner, is 6804 Gunpowder. He sent a letter out last November 19th, and the owner, who was not a resident there, took out a tree, but it wasn't the tree that we had requested. And I think the simplest answer would be to submit a new request to Rick, asking him through Ron to send a new letter to the property owner telling him they need to take out the tree that has been designated as hazardous. Any comment on that?
Sounds good.
Just a shame they had to take that other tree down.
Well, that was all apparently on their own. Wasn't even on the proper side of the property. Whatever, the owner made some decision to take out a tree. The tree that's hazardous is actually the one very close to the Gunpowder Court Road, as well as being on Gunpowder. And if you're looking at the house from Gunpowder, it's on the left side, right near Gunpowder Court Road. So that's what the letter needs to say. The other one where some action is needed is the 7609 Hunting Creek Drive. There's actually 3 dead trees there. And Rick communicated to me that he's never received a request to contact the property owner there. And I'll ask Linda. Linda, do you feel you can take out these two requests through Ron, or do you want some other? I can do it.
I'm getting caught up on a lot of things right now, and that's one that I have on my list. And Andrea did send me pictures of the trees involved, so I can, generate the proper document and get it to Ron this week.
Thank you. That's on the Hunting Creek one.
Correct.
Yeah. Could you also do the 6804 gunpowder?
Yes.
And that's owned by Mr. Citronelli. He's not a resident there, but his name should show up on the what do you call it? The property value.
Is there
TBA.
address for him?
So he got one letter back in November. That's what I was saying.
We do
And
have
then
an address somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, it's 6804 gunpowder.
Okay.
I can send it to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Another one on the list is 6716 Deep Creek. And a letter went out just a couple weeks ago, and a Miss Duff lives there. She called me the day she got it, and she's saying she doesn't think that tree belongs to her, it belongs to her neighbor. And I reported that in an email, and I sent a separate note just maybe a few days ago to the mayor saying that a survey needs to be taken to determine who owns that tree.
I thought that one had been checked on Logic and determined that it was 6716, but I can't verify that.
Yeah, is there any way we can do that?
Well, we could try and take another look just to see what we could find if it does show up clearly in terms of the ownership, because of the proximity of the homes there. It is kind of hard to tell. I don't think it's straight out from one house to the other. But I will look and let you know what I find.
Okay, Linda, thank you. And whatever you find out, just write a little email and copy the mayor and say that Ms. Duff has disputed that ownership.
Okay.
Right. That completes the list that I have of trees designated as hazardous and requiring some action. So the next item on the agenda is the canopy tree program, which we have discussed quite a bit. And there may be no further action needed on that item. Anybody else want to talk about canopy tree program?
Yeah, I think we need to talk about it.
Okay.
You know, it's I don't know if Sylvia was on when Connie and I were discussing it, but we're both think that we really should just not have a limit of where the tree's located on the resident's property. That, you know, it'd be the front yard, side yard, backyard. If we want, you know, we see the trees that are being removed in all different locations and different people's property. So we're interested in the tree canopy.
Well, that might be a good idea, Herb, but I think your initiative with the city attorney gave us clearance to offer the trees for any location.
I didn't hear that, Lee. Could you?
Yes. Is that Sylvia?
Could you say that again, Lee? I couldn't understand you.
I'm sorry, Connie. Herb was working through the mayor with the city attorney on this program. And I'm pretty sure that the final answer was, as long as we made the offerings available to any resident, they could put the tree anyways. Would you agree with that, Herb?
I agree. Herb, you agree too.
Maybe Herb's not hearing us.
Herb,
He's not picking us up.
no, he's not. Herb,
Okay, now I get it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yeah,
I'm sorry. It did go to mute. Um, yeah, actually, when we asked the mayor to address that with the city attorney, we didn't really restrict it to front yard. It was our thinking really was thinking of the streets, but in further thinking, we're thinking more of the tree canopy in our city. So really, the city attorney didn't come out with anything saying about within 20 feet. That was more of our thinking at that time, and maybe Andrea and myself's thinking. So that's why it's not. There's always things can be reconsidered.
Right. I think Andrea wanted the trees close to the highway so that they would cool the street a little more. But there's another advantage in offering trees to be placed anywhere, because probably that would mean more trees.
yeah, I agree. Let's change that next year.
All right. So we'll probably have a fall program, and if we do, we can rewrite it so the trees can go anywhere.
Great.
Anything else on this subject?
No, sir. One thing, it's very pleased that the citizens are willing to do this. I will tell you, there's a neighborhood right off of Chenoweth Lane. They not only pay for the tree, they pay for the planting, and they don't get much participation. Or really, the president of that neighborhood association said people don't participate at all. So our Prospect residents are, they stepped up, and they're willing to want their city to really be a part of a tree city. So I think it's proud of them.
That's amazing.
It is. That's good. We'll see what happens in the fall, but it's good so far. 6 trees. And they're good trees. The next item is the tree plan. And we are required, the Forestation Board is required by ordinance to put in a tree plan for the city by the last Friday in April every year. And I've been soliciting suggestions and comments, but I haven't received any from the Forestation Board or from anybody else. And it would be great if we could do that. And typically, 80% of that document, which we've done every year since we started, is the same. But we do list what was accomplished in the last year, and then in our case, the last year would be 2021, because this runs on a calendar basis to be more compatible with Arbor Day Foundation than with the city. And then goals for this year. And I'd like to get suggestions.
Well, Lee, you might want to check your email, because Connie sent something, I sent something, and Linda sent something.
Maybe they all come in today. I didn't see them. We're kind of crazy on checking emails here, but I will be glad to check. And maybe that's all we need to do right now.
That would be a good start, because I did see things from Herb and Connie, and I sent a list as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you all. The next item is vine removal. I'm glad Linda Wardell is on this meeting, because this was her idea, and I think it's probably a good idea. Linda, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. As I think you know, the Parks Committee has had money budgeted to participate in getting some additional help in removing invasive plants in our parks. And we've had an organization that's called ICF that has done a really good job of working to remove the big invasive plants that we just can't do with volunteers. And when they were looking at Putney Pond, they're going to later this week be removing some of the invasives around the south shore of Putney Pond. But when we were looking at what needed to happen, one of the comments they made was that the area of land between the dam and Timber Ridge Drive, which includes the trees along Timber Ridge Drive on the Putney Pond side, and also trees that are growing on either side of the spillway behind the dam. One of the things they said was you would really improve your the quality of your trees and save trees if you got rid of some of the vines and other invasive plants there. Now, that area is not specifically in Putney Pond and Woodlands Park, but it is owned by the city. And I think I mentioned at the last Forestation Board meeting that we did do some vine removal several years ago, but there's just a lot to be done. And some of the vines are very large. The workers that are doing the work to remove invasives, they're coming in with chainsaws, to cut the big vines and cut down the bush honeysuckle and then treating them with herbicides. So I just suggested to Lee that maybe that's something we should look at, because over time, if you don't remove the big vines, and they're things like winter creeper, I think is the biggest one, they will destroy the trees when they get big enough. And we've got some lovely trees along that entry road, and I think that we should be taking care of them at the city. I've also noticed on my walks along Sutherland Farm Road, since I live in Innisbrook, there are several trees that are in the city right of way that also have big vines growing up them, and there probably are throughout the subdivisions along the roads. But anyway, I just thought that was something that we should think about doing as we apply for budgets, make our proposals for next year's budget. And also, of course, all of us have many ways we want to spend the American Recovery Act money, but that might be something that could be used there too. So that's all I have to say about that, unless anyone has other questions.
I think it's a good idea to have them removed. Yeah.
I agree, Linda. That's a great suggestion.
And, actually, I mentioned that the ICF people are going to be at Putney Pond tomorrow. I plan to go over there to kind of chat with them and talk about their work. And if anyone is interested, if this committee is interested, I could ask them to maybe make a proposal, an estimate for what it would cost, how many days they think it would take to do that stretch, or other places. I'd be happy to talk to them.
I think it'd be great.
That'd be great.
And maybe
So Linda, I think would like that. I don't think anybody's hearing anybody here.
Yeah.
Herb was
Yeah.
breaking up.
Part of the problem is we've got way too many open mics. If you're not talking, turn your mic off, please.
Thanks.
Herb, can you go ahead?
I tell you what, my internet's shaky up here on the second floor, I will admit. So are you able to hear me now? Okay.
I can.
Okay. What I said, if they can get, that estimate of what that would be, and we include it, in your proposal, Lee, to for the 14th to the council as being part of the ARPA money. I mean, it's a maintenance aspect, and so it would affect the performance of the trees in that area, and that's what. So I think it comes definitely under our aspects. So anybody have a problem with that? That sounded sort of defensive. What do you think of that? Sorry.
Linda, would appreciate it if you could ask the service company to give us an estimate.
Okay.
And if they could do it by 13th, that would be even better. But in any case, would like to have it.
And I think for this purpose, we would just want to limit it to that stretch along Timber Ridge Drive. Is that right?
I think that's right. And
Okay.
we're thinking
All
about
right.
Sutherland Farm Road, but most of those trees on Sutherland Farm Road on the entrance side are really on the Wallace property.
Yeah,
rather
I'm
than
assuming
on
that the
ours.
ones on the street side of the fence are probably the city of Prospect, and the ones that are behind the fence are
Or
Wallace.
Wallace's, right. That seems to be
Yeah,
the case.
I'm going to go for a walk after this meeting. I'll pay attention, but I think you're right. I think there are a couple of trees that have some big vines that are in the city right away, but I suspect most of them are on the Wallace property. Okay, I'll report back when I find something out.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda was maybe a newsletter article covering both fall and spring planting. If anybody wants to volunteer to write such an article.
Lee, I had said I would work on that, and as you know, I'm still getting caught up, but I can now address that we will be planting the 8 trees and maybe give a little bit of a teaser towards, yes, Arborfest will be back. We've had some success with the tree canopy program, and we'll be offering a even more broad-based program in the fall for canopy trees.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. The next item I had was other, but it was really for Sylvia about your report about Bridgepoint.
Okay, I have gone to the property. It's 5113 Old Creek Way. That's the
Yes.
address. And the tree that was taken down is between the sidewalk and the road. So that's city tree, right?
Yes, it is. Well, it's owned by the property owner, but it falls under the jurisdiction of the city.
Okay, yeah. So at this point, I think we need to send the letter out. Because last month we had discussed sending a letter out to tell them they needed permission, they didn't do it, and they will be exposed to a fine. But I wanted to make sure that the tree fell under the ordinance, and it does. So that letter can go out. I don't know the names of the owners just yet, but I know the address. So I can find
Okay.
the name and email it to the group.
Yeah, I'll try to find it on Logic.
Okay,
But thank you very much.
no problem.
Right.
Linda, if you need any help with that article, I'd be glad to help. Writing that article for the newsletter.
Okay, I will get a start on it and have you look at it.
Great.
Back to the tree in Bridgepoint on Oak Creek Way. Are we going to ask that resident to plant a tree? Tell them that you did a no-no. It would be great if you plant a tree.
Sylvia, was it an oak tree?
Yes, and I don't know what the stock letter we send out says, but I think it would make sense to request that they replace the tree. and perhaps have Andrea, tell us what species will be a good replacement, and then give him a time frame to do that.
Right. We'd rather have a tree than impose a fine. There's another thing I need to check too. We had given somebody in Bridgepoint a couple years ago permission to take out a tree that was affecting their driveway. I want to make sure it's not that tree.
Is it
before
is it the address of the person who asked you? This is 5113 Old Creek Way.
Yeah, I'll have to look up. I don't
Okay.
recall, you know.
Okay.
But I'll make sure we didn't already grant permission.
Okay.
And if we didn't, then we'll work on a letter.
Okay. And what's the fine again?
I'm sorry?
What is the fine again?
Well, we probably don't want to fine those people, but the ordinance provides for a fine of up to $750.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should have a conversation, or let him know to replace the tree, and
Sure.
have Andrea provide input as to what kind of tree would be a good one.
What to put in, yes. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Our next meeting would normally be April 12th. Question would be, do we meet in the city building, or do we continue by WebEx? That will depend partly on the city city policy. Any comment? Does anybody have a reservation?
If I may, Lee, I actually prefer the remote participation because I can multitask.
Yeah, I understand it.
So even if we
you're
go in person, I would, if at all possible, if there could be the
Hybrid,
option
maybe?
of participating virtually.
Yeah.
Every now and then I might opt for that.
Well, you're the one person that has gainful employment. So we can understand that.
If possible to meet, why don't we consider it being a hybrid meeting where it is WebEx plus in person?
I agree with you, Herb.
Yeah, we might need help from Ron on how to set that up, but I'm sure he'd help us.
No way.
He's nicer in April. The weather's better. He'll be nicer. He'll be okay.
True.
You realize he's already made the last tuition payment for his daughter.
Thank you, Jesus.
If nothing else, we'll call the meeting over if I get a motion to close.
Okay, motion. I second Connie's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.